let's talk about transforming your doula career. Let's talk about how you can care for more clients, build your business, and work less at the same time, right? Feels like a funny concept, to be doing more and, creating more and caring for more people and really building your community, but work less hours yourself. So I'm going to break it down today. I'm going to talk about sort of what we try to do to create more revenue in our business, to build our business, why it backfires sometimes, and what's kind of like the counterintuitive thing that we should be doing in order to grow, that really works, that really allows you to build and scale without putting more of your time into it. The whole purpose is to have more time for yourself, more time for your family, while not sacrificing the revenue piece of it. We think when we work less, we make less, and it does not have to be like that. It should not be like that, actually. So I think one of the things, that I kind of want to start with is, what are we doing to solve the problem of, working too many hours or not making enough money? I think we keep taking like the next training. We keep trying to add things to the business so it makes us, more marketable, or, one client might want more of our services. And, it's a great idea. You definitely want to be this one-stop shop for clients. And it's an incredible feeling when a client says, I'd love to book this service, but I'm also interested in this service. And you can say, I do both. I can provide both of those things for you. But it shouldn't just be you providing all of those things, right? It's nice to have, a very tight referral circle. Because if you're doing all the things, you're going to be busy all the time, and we're trying to, stay away from burnout. You're not going to be giving your 100 to, each of the 10 things that you're doing, right? I'm going to say there'll probably be more than 10% focus, but definitely not 100. And it also messes up your marketing. Like when you're trying to find your ideal client and really articulate the value of your service, it is very difficult when you do 42 things. What are you going to talk about first? How do we know exactly what they want? They might want multiple things. So it really kind of messes up. It doesn't allow you to really like narrow down your marketing or niche down your marketing and have your ideal client. So again, it's not a terrible idea to be this one-stop shop, but it can't be just you. And it also, the one-stop shop piece of it, all these services and offers and trainings that you have, they all can't be in-person hands-on care, because you can't do all of those things for one or multiple people in the hours of the day that you are allotting to work stuff. And you're never going to create more hours in the day, right? You're never going to have more than two hands. So don't choose things in your business that are going to require you to be in certain places for a certain amount of time for a certain number of dollars. We want to get away a little bit from just having things that trade time for dollars. We want to diversify a bit. I think streamlining your business into one or two main things with the smaller things kind of branching off. For me, I have my big thing is my agency, and under that is postpartum doula care, birth doula care, lots of different, perinatal education. So some prenatal stuff, some postpartum stuff. We have placenta encapsulation. We have sleep. I can't even think of all the things we have because it's so many. But it really does make us this one-stop shop, but it's not just one person doing all the things. We have multiple different people, but they're also offered in different ways. We have things that are in person. We have virtual. We have self-paced digital. And our in-person stuff, it can be group, it can be private. And having the virtual and digital education, and you can even have virtual care, it really allows us to open up our services to, the nation or even the world, right? We don't have to stick to just our local clientele. And there is definitely a time and a place. And I love the fact that we have such a tight-knit community of local clients, and it really allows for so much more word of mouth and referrals. And to be honest, the backbone of the agency is birth and postpartum care. Obviously, those are all in-person, hands-on services. The referral piece, the word of mouth piece, builds my business. It is what allows my business to continue to grow rapidly, but also in a way that, I hate to say we get the best clients, but we actually get for the most part, the best clients. There's nothing better when we get a call and, someone's neighbor referred them. And then like 5 minutes later, I get a text from the neighbor and they're like, oh, I'm so excited. My neighbor, blah, blah, blah. They're pregnant. They're going to use you. And it's just such a great, it like keeps everyone really connected. And I love that. But you have to find your sweet spot too. You have to find, what's perfect for you, how many hours you're working, how many other hours you're going to dedicate to things that are virtual, or do you have time in your schedule to start to create, a digital course? And, what I did, and this is available to people who are in Birth Boss Academy and who also are in the agency program, I created this really cool spreadsheet, and it is, it was made for, doulas. So it has like services, birth or postpartum. And then it has like one more thing. So it could be a class you teach, or if you do sleep consultant work or whatever. And you put the number of either hours you want to work, or, it works better if you put, how much revenue you want coming in for the month. Let's say, you want to have a $50,000 month. That's your number. And everything else kind of auto-populates. So how many births does that look like? How many postpartum hours does that look like? And you can tweak all of that so you kind of figure out how many hours you're putting into each thing. If you're doing virtual care, obviously, like that is part of it. If your third thing is a digital course, that is just adding revenue, but that's not adding hours, right? So you're able to continue to add revenue coming in, but you're not adding any hours, whereas birth and postpartum doula care, those are a certain number of hours. So it's a really great way to see how you can break up the week and break up the month and kind of figure out what your perfect or what your sweet spot is for work. And does it align with that number that you want to make? Now, I just threw that number out, as a random number, but it can be more, it can be less, and there's no reason why it can't be more. But it has to work perfectly for you. And that's what I say every time that I'm chatting with someone who wants to build their business. It has to work for you. What other obligations do you have that are going to come before you can dedicate time to your business? Is it family? Is it spouse? Is it other job? Is it hobbies? Is it health stuff? I mean, it could be anything, but you have to make sure that you are plunking those into, your calendar before you backfill with work stuff. And I think there's such a misconception about digital education, digital courses. We talk a lot about passive income, and passive income, I think, is a necessity to any business that wants to scale to multi 6 or 7 figures. It can't just be in-person work unless you're growing this tremendously large team. And then yes, it can, but you can't just create something, and put it out to the world and then never, look at it again and hope people buy it. There is the design and the creation piece. There's the building piece. And then once that is all done and you can be like, okay, woo, that is like something I don't have to do, again for a while, you still have to launch it. You still have to market it, and you have to continuously sell it, and you have to nurture that audience, right? So you don't lose them somewhere in the process. And, usually when someone creates a digital course, there is a lead magnet that comes first so they can build their email list. And there's a nurture sequence that goes along with that. So it's this multifaceted thing that we assume is going to be a set it and forget it, and it's not. So I don't want people to think when I talk about passive income or when I talk about digital courses that it's, some easy breezy thing that, everyone can do. Everyone can do it, but it definitely takes a lot of thought. It takes time investment. It takes a financial investment, not a huge one, to be honest with you. I think the bigger piece of the financial investment is the education and the training to create the course and launch it and market and sell and nurture and that piece of it. So it's really, I guess, for me, I'm always measuring the return on my investment. Like, do I want to dedicate 100 hours to something? What am I worth per hour and what does that come out to? Do I want to pay someone else to either show me how to do it or do it for me? What is that commitment going to look like as far as, can they do it in 5 hours? And that would obviously save me a ton of money. So you always have to weigh that. I feel like the DIY things, I do a lot of stuff myself. I run a really lean business, but I'm also well aware of my strengths and my weaknesses, and I'm happy to pay someone for the things that I know I can't do. And when I built my first course, I did all of like the copy for it, and I had all of the graphics for it and titles and all of those things, but I really didn't know how to put it all together in a way that was like, would look really pretty for someone purchasing it. So, there was a big learning curve. I paid someone to do it, and then I paid them to do it, but also to teach me how to do it. So, at this point I can do it. I can show someone else how to do it. But it's really like a smart move for me to continue to pay someone to keep it, moving, to edit what I need and to update and things like that. So I don't have to continuously worry about it. Cause again, even though I know how to do it, I don't have a creative eye, and I'm not that quick either. The other part of it is that my time is better spent doing other things in my business. So, I always weigh that as well. So having, digital education, having a mix of in-person care and virtual care and, digital education, really frees up your time to continue to create in your business. And now you can also have other, avenues of passive income. You can have a really robust affiliate program for any of the courses you have. You can also be an affiliate for someone else. You can have a membership or a community, right? A paid community. Those are wonderful too, subscriptions. But what I really try to focus on is the building of the agency in your business. If you are someone who is at the point where you're too busy and you have the inquiries coming in, you want to, diversify and you want to be that one-stop shop, but you're not entirely sure how to put that together, that would be an agency model. And it can be employees, it can be contractors, it can be referrals. It can look very different for everyone, but that really is a way to grow and build and scale and have revenue continuously and consistently, coming in. You're benefiting, the large perinatal community because you're caring for more people in multiple different ways with multiple different services. You are also building up the doula community and the perinatal professional community because you are, helping other people, cultivate and grow their business through the popularity and, your business that's more well known. You're already pretty established, so you're helping other people get their name out through, your brand. You're helping, the community that otherwise may not be able to access, your services. Because you have more revenue coming in, you have more revenue that you can move over to a place of, charitable giving or volunteer work. And I will not forget to highlight the fact that it benefits you tremendously. It allows you the financial freedom and the time freedom to continuously grow your business and scale your business and do other things. It can be in or out of your business. You can still take clients. You cannot take clients. You can intentionally divide your time any way that you want, and that is a beautiful thing. The freedom to do that is an incredible thing, and it does allow you to transform your business to a place where you are caring for so many more people, serving so many more people, and working much less. You're also caring for and serving yourself. And that is important. You only get, one life to live. Make it the best that it can possibly be. And not one that you look back and you say, I worked too many hours. I missed this with my family. I missed this, for myself, or this with my spouse, or whatever it is. I really can attest to the fact that it goes by fast. My oldest is, about to press the button for, applications to college. And I really, can look back and say that I don't regret creating my business and building it the way that I did because I had more than enough time to dedicate to her entire life of, school and personal and social and education or whatever, she needed from me. I was there. And I also took excellent care of myself so I could be the best parent and continue to do that with my 2 little ones. And I think everyone is, really appreciative of that. Me especially. I like taking ownership, I guess, of starting a business that was me as a postpartum doula, working hourly, maybe working 20 or 30 hours a week, and then realizing it could be much bigger, and then building it to, a 7-figure, multiple business empire. We have, hip to heart is the umbrella, and there's multiple things that go underneath. Did I ever imagine in 1 million years starting off that I would do that? And I actually worked in corporate America and got laid off and was like devastated that I had to be on unemployment and move back in with my dad as a grown up with a child. But it really gave me the time to step back and evaluate what was the most important thing to me, and it was time and money. I needed the money, obviously, to, live. And it's crazy now how much, the cost of living has increased. But I also wanted the time. I did not want to invest in full-time daycare, not because I didn't want to spend the money, because I didn't want to lose that time with my child. And that was a huge, huge thing that I was able to do for myself and for her. And it really was because I was very intentional about building my business. And I built it in a way that it was perfect. And that's what I try to convey to all of you. You can have your perfect business. You can make the business work around your lifestyle so you don't lose out on anything important. Can you make $100,000 a year? Absolutely. Can you make double that? Absolutely. Can you be a multi-6 or 7-figure business as a doula? Absolutely. It is there for the taking. You just have to make the move to claim it as your own. And, that's a question I get a lot. Like, is it possible? If it wasn't possible, I know a lot of people who have done it and are continuously doing it. If it wasn't possible, then those people wouldn't be doing it. So is it possible for anyone? Yes. You just need the proper support and the proper guidance and really the proper roadmap. Like, in any map situation, you have, where you want to end up. You just got to figure out, the best way to get there. And sometimes it's the fastest way. And sometimes it's the way without tolls or, whatever you look like when you look at your map thing. But you always get to your destination, right? It's just a matter of how easy you want to make it for yourself and what you're willing to sacrifice, what you're willing to invest in it. Is it time, right? Is it money? If you want to, take more time, then you don't go the route with the tolls. If you don't mind spending, you'll get there faster, but you've had to pay a few things along the way. So what feels most important to you? And you also have to think about what is the best return on your investment. I started my agency 9 years ago, and I didn't have anyone to kind of pave the way for me. It was all trial and error. I figured it out. It felt very similar to my first birth and postpartum experience. I didn't have any support or anyone who said, hey, this is how you do things. And through trial and error, I figured it out. Did I spend a lot of extra time, figuring out stuff? Yes. Did it, help me grow as a person and figure out, how to then turn around and help someone else? Yes. And I did the same thing with my agency. It probably took me 2 or 3 years to build, a lot of trial and error. Do I wish I had a mentor or someone who had an agency program like I have to show me the way? So it would have been more of a financial investment than a time investment. Yes and no. If I had that, it would have been easier, but I probably wouldn't have turned it into the agency program that I have. So because I struggled and did a lot of things wrong and then figured out how to do them right, I turned that into a program for anyone else who wants to, transition from a solo doula to an agency model in a step-by-step done for you way. So you don't have to spend extra time figuring out stuff. It is all done for you, but it's also all tailored for you specifically. There's different ways to run an agency. There's different models, different rules and regulations in different states. So it's not the same for everyone, and not everyone wants to offer the same services. So some people do 2 things. Some people have 10 things. Some people have a team of 5. Some people have a team of 45. You can make it whatever you want, But the most important thing is that it fits your lifestyle. And, I focus a lot on the financial piece and the revenue piece. And I know, that money doesn't buy happiness, and that's not what I'm trying to kind of relay here. But money allows you the freedom to choose how you are spending your time. And it allows you to buy some things that make you happy. So it doesn't buy happiness, but it affords you the freedom. And I think that we forget that. It doesn't necessarily, we're not doing this for the Range Rover, or we're not doing this for, the house wherever. We're doing it to have the freedom to make the choices on how we spend our time. And that is so, so, so important. I cannot focus on that enough. Time freedom is everything. And you can have it. You can have it. You don't have to work crazy hours. You don't have to risk burnout being a doula. And I feel like the word burnout is like synonymous with, being a doula. People always talk about that, and they always, kind of highlight how easy it can happen, and it definitely can, but you do not have to fall victim to it. You can be smart and intentional about creating your business. And for me, it was definitely moving to an agency model. The program I talked about, it is the Birth Boss Agency program, and the next cohort starts October 1st, which is less than a month away. We have a great group who is already registered and ready to go. And the best part about it, obviously, like a great part, is that you have your agency up and running by the end, but it's the people that you're working with. They have they're in the same mindset as you. They have, similar end goals. So you are not the only one in the room who wants to be an agency owner. If you are the only one in the room who strives to own an agency, make multi-six figures, and have time freedom, you are in the wrong room. Don't be the only person. Be in a room with all of those people so you can do it together, and you can hold each other accountable. And you can ask the right questions and answer the right questions, and not be the person who someone always wants to pick your brain, right? That falls flat a lot. You get to a certain point in your business where you're always that person, and then you don't have anyone's brain to pick. Be in a room with all the people who have similar goals and similar desires as you. If you want more information about the agency program, comment or send me a DM. I will send you the application. That's the very first step. Are you even ready for this? Fill out the application, and we will have a conversation after that. Have a wonderful rest of the day, guys. Thank you for listening to the Birth Boss podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification button so you always know when a new episode is out. And if you're feeling inspired, we always love when you leave a review.